yet believe and adhere to and trust and rely on me. Amplified version. Let me read it again. Jesus said to him, because you have seen me, Thomas, do you now believe? Which is trust, have faith. Blessed and happy, which is to be envied, are those who have never seen me and yet have believed and adhered and trusted and relied on me. Jesus knew that back in his day, a lot of people was going to believe in him because they saw him, they saw the miracles and did all that. But he said, for us, we are going to be highly blessed. Because even though we've never seen him or touched him, yet we believe in him. Well, how do we demonstrate that we believe in him? Because we walk in him. We obey him. We follow him. We submit ourselves to him. That's how people got to know that you are a Christian today, even though Jesus is nowhere around. Because you are following Christ. His ways, what he said, his word. And because of that faith walk in God, God says that you receive these things. Whatever those things are. Acts 17. And he made from one common origin, one source, one blood, all nations of men to settle on the face of the earth, having definitely determined their allotted periods of time and the fixed boundaries of their habitation, their settlements, lands, and abodes, so that they should seek God in the hope that they might feel after him and find him, although he is not far from each of us. For in him we live and move and have our being, as even some of your own poets have said, we are also his offspring. In him we live, move, and we have our being. That's how God describes a Christian. Someone who's living in him, moving in him, and embodying him. When people see you, they're supposed to see Christ. They're not supposed to see you. Now, I'm not talking about walking around talking about Jesus. The only thing I'm saying is do what God say do. God say love your neighbor as you love yourself. God say love him with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. You do those two things, you'll be showing forth Christ. If you love something else more than you love God, therefore you're going to follow that something else more than you do God. If you love porn, you're going to follow porn. If you love cussing, you're going to follow cussing. If you love stealing, you're going to follow stealing. Even though you say with your mouth that I love God. So in him we live, move, and we have our being. It's in him. It's that relationship, that faith walk that we have in him that is true faith. Now faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things that are not seen. And to prove to you that it's not about the thing, but it's about God, God went on and said this in the 11th chapter. He said, for by it the elders attained a good report. By what? By their active belief, by their faith. The elders obtained a good report. He said, for faith, the third verse, for by faith we understand the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. God is demonstrating to us the kind of faith that he's talking about. God is demonstrating to us how we're supposed to have faith. What kind of faith we're supposed to be having. Because this faith is a faith that we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen it was not made out of what was visible. God had faith. God had faith. By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command. God had faith. Faith in what? Faith in who? Faith in himself. There's nobody else greater than him. He knew that if he spoke it, it's going to come to pass. Yes. He had faith in himself. Well, guess who we're supposed to have faith in? The same faith that God had in himself. He said, this is the faith that I want you to have. You have faith in me. God did not cross himself. God did not lie to himself. God did not do anything to himself to make himself feel ashamed. God was holy from the beginning, and he's still holy now. God maintained his holiness. Guess what we got to do? We got to maintain our holiness. Because that's what relationship with God is. It's a holiness. It's a walk in holiness with God. It's a walk in relationship with God. Your faith is your holiness. Your faith is your walk. Your faith is your relationship. And it's that relationship, that walk, and that holiness that's going to bring these things about. By faith, Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith, he was committed as righteousness. By faith, he was committed as righteous when God spoke well of his offering. By faith, Abel still speaks even though he is dead. By faith, Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. This is the kind of faith that God is talking about, not the faith to get things. The kind of faith that says that I am a Christian. That's the kind of faith that pleases God. That's the kind of faith that God said we're supposed to have. A faith that says I belong to him. Not a faith that says I can get that.
Yes.
God, because, and without faith is he says, and without faith, the 6th verse, it is impossible to please God because anyone who comes to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly, guess what? Seek him. The emphasis is not on the reward. The emphasis is on the seeking. The reward is just a byproduct. Stop all this faith stuff about prosperity. It's not about that. It's about relationship. The reason why people come to church and go back and worse than they came is because when they come, they hear about prosperity. They hear about faith in the context of what I can get instead of who I'm supposed to be in God. That's true faith. True faith is your relationship with your God. Your walk with your God. And it's because the walk with God, because your relationship with God, these things happen.
Yes.
Are you emphasizing God? Do you truly have faith? Are you truly living a life that demonstrates faith? Let me tell you something. If you want something from God, live for him. Live for him. Stop reaching for the things. Reach for God. Reach for holiness. Stop crying over what you don't have and cry to God for having him. Be thankful for having God. Have tears of joy because you are saved. And that you're delivered. And that you have a relationship with God. Get lost in him. Stop worrying about the world. Stop worrying about the things of the world. Stop worrying about this car and that mortgage and all that kind of stuff. Stop worrying about those things. God said those things will take care of. He'll take care of those things. He said, sufficient to the day is the evil thereof. Every day there's going to be something to worry about. If you live that way, you cannot belong to him. Because your thinking and your belonging is on those things and not on the one that you say that you belong to. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. How you living? How you walking? How you talking? People know you saved? Can they pick you out of a crowd and say, I know about her? You might never say anything to them. But because they've been watching you, they see your walk, your faith walk. They know you belong to that Jesus. Just like they pointed out Peter, they should be able to point you out. But if your faith is all about what you can get, if you think that's what faith is, you're sadly mistaken. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. By it, the elders attained a good report. Those people that have died before you, Moses, Abraham, Lot, Peter, Paul, John, all those elders in the Bible, they obtained a good report by God because of their relationship with God. They wasn't seeking after this thing and that thing. Their heart and their hunger was for God. Yes, they desired to have a promised land. Yes, they desired to have a roof over their head. Yes, they desired to have food in their back, food in their body and clothes in their backs. But that did not define them. What defined them was their relationship with God. Their hunger for God, seeking after Him. And God said, by that kind of faith, they attained a good report. Samson was able to destroy thousands. Abraham was able to come before God and be the father of us all in faith. Enoch, his faith was so strong that God just took him. God just took him because he had the right kind of faith. And that faith was that he walked with God. God was pleased because he walked with God. And so the Bible said that God just took him. That's the kind of faith that God expects for us to have.
Yes.
The faith that says, I am walking with God. And everybody who knows me ought to be able to see it. That's true faith. That's true love. Jesus said, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. It's impossible for you to keep the commandments of God if you do not have faith in Him. Because faith is your walk, your active walk. Your demonstrated physical evidence of who you say you are, as well as the demonstrated physical evidence of things that you don't even see, that you desire from God. We got to live holy. He said, be ye holy as I am holy. It's not about the things, y'all. It's about Him. And when He comes back, He's not coming back for a car. He's coming back for those who have, He said, when I come back, shall I find faith on the earth. Don't get it twisted. Don't get caught up with the prosperity gospel. Get caught up with what God says. He says faith is your relationship. It's your walk. That's what we're with God. Don't let the enemy deceive you and turn the church into a marketplace. Jesus beat folk out the building because it turned it into a marketplace. They lost the purpose of the church, which was to have a relationship with God. And even though the church as a building is no more, the devil is still trying to do the same thing, turn it into a marketplace. Mm-hmm. And we lose the understanding that it was supposed to be about relationship with God, that we are His body, that He is the head of us, and we belong to Him. And we move and we do everything we do because what our head tells us to do, which is Jesus Christ. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. God bless you. Let's all stand.